In the shadowed corridors of Renaissance Florence, where political intrigue flowed as freely as wine at a nobleman's feast, Niccolò Machiavelli penned observations that would echo through centuries of human ambition and betrayal. His keen eye, sharpened by years navigating the treacherous waters of Italian politics, discerned a fundamental truth about human nature that remains as relevant today as it was 500 years ago. The greatest threats to our success and survival often come not from obvious enemies, but from those who smile while sharpening their knives behind our backs. The concept of fake allies represents one of the most insidious forms of deception in human relationships, whether in politics, business, or personal life. Unlike open adversaries who declare their hostility and allow us to prepare our defenses, false friends operate from within our circle of trust, gathering intelligence, undermining our efforts, and positioning themselves to strike at the moment of our greatest vulnerability. Machiavelli understood this dynamic with crystalline clarity, having witnessed firsthand how apparent allies could transform into destroyers when circumstances shifted in their favor. The anatomy of a fake ally reveals itself through subtle patterns of behavior that the untrained eye might dismiss as mere personality quirks or temporary lapses in loyalty. These individuals master the art of appearing supportive while systematically working against the interests of those they claim to champion. They speak words of encouragement in public forums while spreading seeds of doubt in private conversations. They offer assistance that proves consistently inadequate or misdirected, creating an illusion of support while ensuring that their supposed ally remains dependent and vulnerable. Consider the merchant who poses as a business partner while secretly negotiating deals that undercut shared ventures, or the colleague who nods approvingly in meetings while documenting every mistake for future use against you. These false allies understand that their power derives not from direct confrontation, which might expose their true nature, but from the gradual erosion of trust and the careful manipulation of circumstances to serve their hidden agenda. The psychological profile of a fake ally often reveals deep-seated insecurities masked by carefully constructed facades of confidence and loyalty. These individuals frequently harbor resentment toward those they perceive as more successful, talented, or favored, yet lack the courage or capability for direct competition. Instead, they choose the path of covert sabotage, positioning themselves as indispensable supporters while working to ensure that their target never achieves true independence or lasting success. Machiavelli observed that fake allies often emerge during periods of transition or uncertainty, when established power structures become fluid and new opportunities for advancement present themselves. They recognize that chaos creates cover for their activities and that desperate individuals seeking support are more likely to overlook warning signs or rationalize concerning behavior. In such environments, the ability to distinguish between genuine allies and sophisticated imposters becomes not merely advantageous but essential for survival. The tactical repertoire of false friends includes a sophisticated array of manipulation techniques designed to maintain their position while advancing their hidden agenda. They excel at the art of selective availability, appearing when their presence enhances their reputation or provides access to valuable information, yet mysteriously absent when genuine support or sacrifice is required. Their communication patterns reveal careful calculation, offering just enough encouragement to maintain hope while subtly undermining confidence through backhanded compliments, damning with faint praise, or introducing doubt through seemingly innocent questions. Perhaps most dangerous is their mastery of playing multiple sides in any conflict or competition. Fake allies position themselves as moderate voices of reason, claiming to see merit in opposing viewpoints while secretly feeding information and encouragement to all parties involved. This strategy allows them to maintain relationships regardless of outcome while positioning themselves to benefit from whatever resolution emerges. They become the Switzerland of human relationships, appearing neutral while profiting from the conflicts of others. The psychological impact of discovering betrayal by a supposed ally often proves more devastating than straightforward opposition from known enemies. When someone we trust violates that trust, the emotional and strategic damage extends beyond the immediate harm caused by their actions. It calls into question our judgment, our ability to read character, and our fundamental assumptions about human nature. This secondary damage often proves more lasting and debilitating than the primary betrayal, creating a cascade of self-doubt that can paralyze future decision-making. Machiavelli's genius lay not merely in identifying these patterns but in understanding that the ultimate defense against fake allies requires more than external vigilance. While one must certainly develop skills in reading human behavior and detecting deception, the most profound protection comes from cultivating inner strength and independence that renders such betrayals merely inconvenient rather than catastrophic. The individual who builds their foundation on external validation and support inevitably becomes vulnerable to manipulation by those who control access to such validation. The warning signs of fake alliance manifest across multiple dimensions of behavior and interaction. Inconsistency between private and public statements serves as one of the most reliable indicators, as false friends struggle to maintain their mask across all contexts and audiences. They may speak supportively in your presence while their behavior in your absence reveals a different attitude entirely. Social media has provided new venues for this inconsistency, as fake allies often reveal their true feelings through the content they share, the events they attend, or the people they celebrate when they believe you are not watching. Another telltale sign involves the pattern of their requests versus their offerings. Genuine allies maintain a rough balance between what they seek from the relationship and what they contribute to it. False friends, however, consistently seek more than they provide, justifying this imbalance through elaborate explanations about their circumstances, their unique value, or their future potential contributions. They master the art of making their beneficiaries feel privileged to support them, inverting the natural gratitude that should flow from recipient to provider. The timing of their appearance and disappearance also provides crucial intelligence. Fake allies often emerge during your periods of success or visibility, seeking to associate themselves with your achievements and gain access to your network or opportunities. Conversely, they tend to become scarce during challenges or setbacks, when their association with you might prove costly or when you might actually need their support. This fair-weather friendship pattern reveals their transactional approach to relationships and their unwillingness to accept any risk or sacrifice for your benefit. Perhaps most subtly, fake allies often seek to make themselves indispensable through the creation of artificial dependencies. They may volunteer for responsibilities that give them access to sensitive information or control over critical processes, then gradually make it difficult for you to manage these areas independently. This strategy allows them to maintain their position even when their true nature begins to emerge, as removing them might cause short-term disruption or inconvenience. The intellectual framework for understanding fake allies must acknowledge that not all apparent betrayal stems from malicious intent. Human nature includes tendencies towards self-preservation that can lead even well-intentioned individuals to prioritize their interests over loyalty when circumstances become difficult. The challenge lies in distinguishing between momentary weakness under pressure and systematic deception designed to exploit trust for personal gain. This distinction matters enormously in determining appropriate responses and future relationship strategies. Machiavelli emphasized that effective leadership requires the ability to inspire genuine loyalty while detecting and neutralizing false loyalty. This dual capability demands both emotional intelligence and strategic thinking, as the same behaviors that build authentic relationships can also provide cover for manipulative ones. The skilled leader learns to create environments where fake allies find it difficult to operate effectively while ensuring that genuine allies feel valued and secure in their position. The modern workplace provides countless examples of fake alliance dynamics, from colleagues who share credit for successes while avoiding responsibility for failures, to subordinates who appear loyal while secretly undermining authority through gossip and selective information sharing. Business partnerships, too, often reveal the dangers of misplaced trust, as individuals who seem committed to shared goals may secretly negotiate their own advantages at the expense of supposed partners. In personal relationships, fake allies often appear during times of emotional vulnerability, offering support and understanding while gradually gaining influence over important decisions or access to valuable resources. They may position themselves as confidants and advisors while actually working to isolate their target from other sources of support and perspective. The romantic partner who subtly criticizes your friends and family, the friend who always needs help but never reciprocates, or the mentor who keeps you dependent rather than helping you grow all exemplify this pattern. The technological age has created new venues for fake alliance while also providing tools for detection. Social media platforms allow for unprecedented surveillance of behavior and relationships, making it easier to spot inconsistencies and hidden agendas. However, these same platforms also enable more sophisticated forms of deception, as individuals can craft carefully curated personas that mask their true intentions and relationships. The ultimate test of alliance often comes during moments of crisis or significant opportunity, when the true priorities and loyalties of all parties become clear. Fake allies typically reveal themselves during these pivotal moments, as the pressure of circumstances makes it difficult to maintain elaborate deceptions. They may abandon ship when difficulties arise, or they may attempt to seize opportunities that rightfully belong to their supposed ally, justifying their actions through convenient rationalizations about changed circumstances or evolved priorities. Understanding the psychology of fake allies also requires recognizing the role that scarcity and competition play in human behavior. In environments where resources, recognition, or opportunities are limited, even individuals with generally good intentions may be tempted toward betrayal if they perceive their own survival or advancement at stake. This reality underscores the importance of creating abundance mindsets and win-win scenarios wherever possible, reducing the incentives for false alliance. The emotional toll of dealing with fake allies extends beyond the immediate damage they cause. Victims often experience a profound sense of disillusionment about human nature, leading to cynicism and defensive behaviors that can damage future relationships with genuinely trustworthy individuals. Learning to maintain appropriate caution without becoming paranoid or closed off represents one of the greatest challenges in recovering from betrayal by fake allies. Machiavelli's insight about the necessity of destroying one's weak self becomes particularly relevant in the context of fake allies, as weakness and dependency create the very vulnerabilities that false friends exploit. The individual who requires external validation, who needs others to feel complete, or who lacks confidence in their own judgment becomes an ideal target for manipulation and eventual betrayal. Conversely, the person who has developed inner strength and independence finds that fake allies lose much of their power to cause lasting damage. Part 2, The Architecture of Inner Strength. The second profound truth embedded in Machiavelli's warning concerns the relationship between inner weakness and external vulnerability. The man who destroys his weak self can never be destroyed by others because he has eliminated the very foundations upon which manipulation and betrayal depend. This concept transcends mere personal development advice. It represents a fundamental restructuring of one's relationship with power, dependency, and human nature itself. Weakness, in Machiavelli's framework, does not refer to physical limitations or temporary emotional states, but rather to systematic dependencies that create leverage points for others to exploit. These dependencies manifest in various forms: the need for constant validation and approval, the inability to function independently in critical areas of life, the habit of seeking external solutions to internal problems, and the tendency to derive identity and self-worth from the opinions and actions of others. Consider the business executive who has built their career on the support of a particular mentor or sponsor. While mentorship represents a valuable and legitimate aspect of professional development, the executive who cannot function without constant guidance and approval has created a vulnerability that others can exploit. Should that mentor withdraw support or, worse, actively work against them, the executive lacks the inner resources necessary to maintain their position and effectiveness. Their dependency has become their Achilles heel. The process of destroying weakness requires unflinching self-examination and the courage to confront uncomfortable truths about one's character and capabilities. This destruction is not literal self-harm but, rather, the systematic elimination of dependencies, delusions, and habits that leave one vulnerable to manipulation. It involves developing genuine competence in areas where one previously relied on others, building emotional resilience to reduce the need for external validation, and cultivating a clear understanding of one's own values and priorities independent of social pressure. The psychology of dependency reveals itself through patterns of behavior that seem natural or even virtuous but actually create dangerous vulnerabilities. The people pleaser who cannot bear disapproval, the perfectionist who requires constant reassurance about their work, the social climber who measures their worth through association with powerful individuals all exemplify this dynamic. These patterns may provide short-term comfort or advantage, but they inevitably create openings for exploitation by those skilled in manipulation. Financial dependency represents perhaps the most obvious and dangerous form of weakness in modern society. The individual who cannot support themselves independently, who relies on others for basic survival needs, or who has created lifestyle requirements that exceed their independent earning capacity has placed themselves at the mercy of benefactors who may withdraw support at any moment. This vulnerability extends beyond mere material considerations to psychological and strategic ones, as financial dependence often comes with explicit or implicit obligations that can be used to control behavior and choices. Emotional dependency proves equally treacherous, though often more subtle in its manifestations. The person who requires constant validation, who cannot make decisions without extensive consultation, or who derives their sense of self-worth primarily from the approval of others, has created a control mechanism that skilled manipulators can operate with devastating effectiveness. Fake allies particularly excel at exploiting emotional dependencies, providing just enough validation to maintain control while gradually increasing their influence over their targets' decisions and relationships. Intellectual dependency, while less recognized, can prove equally damaging. The individual who consistently defers to others' expertise without developing their own judgment, who accepts ideas and strategies without critical evaluation, or who lacks confidence in their own analytical abilities, becomes vulnerable to manipulation through the selective provision of information and advice. In an age of information overload, the ability to think independently and critically becomes not just valuable but essential for maintaining autonomy and making sound decisions. The process of building genuine strength requires understanding the difference between legitimate interdependence and weakness-based dependency. Human beings are naturally social creatures, and healthy relationships involve mutual support and cooperation. The key distinction lies in choice and capability. The strong individual chooses to cooperate and accept help because it creates better outcomes, not because they lack alternatives. They maintain the ability to function independently if cooperation fails or becomes unavailable. Developing this inner strength begins with brutal honesty about one's current capabilities and dependencies. This assessment must examine not just what you can do, but what you can do well under pressure, without external support, and in hostile environments. Many people discover they have been living in comfortable delusions about their independence, supported by favorable circumstances and cooperative relationships that mask underlying vulnerabilities. The cultivation of core competencies represents a crucial element in building independence. These competencies must extend beyond professional skills to include basic life management abilities, financial literacy, emotional regulation, critical thinking, communication skills, and physical health maintenance. The individual who has mastered these fundamentals possesses a foundation of strength that external forces find difficult to undermine. Financial independence, while not always achievable in absolute terms, must be pursued as a strategic priority. This pursuit involves not just increasing income or accumulating wealth, but developing the skills and knowledge necessary to generate income independently and manage resources effectively. The person who understands how to create value for others, who has diversified income streams, and who maintains reasonable living standards relative to their earning capacity has eliminated one of the primary leverage points that fake allies and others use to control behavior. Emotional independence requires perhaps the most difficult and ongoing work, as it involves restructuring fundamental beliefs about self-worth, identity, and human relationships. This process begins with developing internal standards for success and satisfaction that do not depend on external validation. It involves learning to find fulfillment in personal growth, meaningful work, and authentic relationships rather than in the opinions and approval of others. The development of critical thinking skills serves as another pillar of strength, protecting against manipulation through false information or flawed reasoning. This involves learning to evaluate evidence, question assumptions, recognize logical fallacies, and consider multiple perspectives before forming conclusions. The person who can think clearly and independently becomes much more difficult to deceive or manipulate through sophisticated arguments or emotional appeals. Physical and mental health form the biological foundation of all other strengths. The individual who maintains physical fitness, mental clarity, and emotional stability possesses resources that cannot be easily compromised by external forces. Health provides energy, resilience, and confidence that translate into strength in all other areas of life. Conversely, poor health creates vulnerabilities that others can exploit through manipulation, pressure, or simple attrition. The practice of systematic self-improvement represents both a method and a mindset essential for maintaining strength. This practice involves regularly identifying weaknesses and dependencies, developing plans to address them, and consistently working toward greater capability and independence. It requires viewing challenges and setbacks as opportunities for growth rather than evidence of inadequacy or reasons for seeking rescue from others. Building genuine allies and support networks paradoxically becomes easier once one has achieved substantial independence. Strong individuals attract other strong individuals because they can offer genuine value without neediness or manipulation. They can form relationships based on mutual respect and shared goals rather than dependency and transaction. These authentic relationships provide support and opportunity without creating the vulnerabilities associated with weakness-based dependencies. The concept of anti-fragility, developed by philosopher Nassim Taleb, provides valuable insight into the kind of strength Machiavelli advocated. Anti-fragile systems and individuals not only survive stress and adversity but actually grow stronger from it. This represents the ultimate form of strength, the ability to benefit from attempts at destruction or manipulation. The person who has systematically eliminated their weaknesses and developed genuine capabilities finds that challenges and betrayals serve primarily to demonstrate their resilience and reveal the character of those around them. The strategic implications of inner strength extend far beyond personal protection to include enhanced effectiveness in all areas of life. Strong individuals can take calculated risks because they have resources to recover from failures. They can pursue ambitious goals because they do not depend on others' permission or support to act. They can maintain principles and values under pressure because their well-being does not depend on compromising their integrity for external benefits. The journey of destroying weakness often involves temporary isolation and discomfort as one eliminates dependencies and develops capabilities. This transition period can be particularly challenging for individuals accustomed to high levels of external support or validation. However, the discomfort represents necessary growing pains rather than evidence of error, much like the temporary weakness experienced during physical training that ultimately produces greater strength. The relationship between inner strength and external success proves complex and sometimes counterintuitive. Strong individuals may initially experience reduced external support as they become less convenient to manipulate and control. Fair-weather friends and fake allies often disappear when their targets become too independent to exploit easily. However, this natural filtering process ultimately leads to higher quality relationships and more sustainable forms of success. Recognition of weakness in others becomes both easier and more important as one develops strength. Strong individuals can better identify and avoid weak people who might become liabilities, while also recognizing genuine strength in potential allies and collaborators. This enhanced judgment prevents many problems before they develop while creating opportunities for mutually beneficial relationships. The maintenance of strength requires ongoing vigilance and effort, as both external circumstances and internal psychology can gradually erode hard-won independence. Regular self-assessment, continued learning, and systematic challenge-seeking help prevent the complacency and drift that can recreate vulnerabilities. The strong person understands that strength is not a destination but a practice that requires consistent attention and development. Part 3, The Invincible Self and the Politics of Power. The culmination of Machiavelli's wisdom lies in understanding that the individual who has successfully eliminated their fundamental weaknesses achieves a state approaching invincibility in human affairs. This invincibility does not derive from superior force or unlimited resources, but from the elimination of leverage points that others might use to control, manipulate, or destroy them. When a person no longer needs what others can withhold, and when they possess the capabilities necessary to function independently, they become essentially immune to the primary weapons employed in human conflict. This concept of invincibility through strength resonates throughout history in the lives of individuals who transformed themselves from vulnerable dependents into formidable forces. Consider the young Abraham Lincoln, born into poverty and lacking formal education, who systematically developed his intellectual capabilities, moral character, and political skills until he became one of the most powerful and respected figures in American history. His strength came not from inherited advantages but from the deliberate cultivation of capabilities and the elimination of dependencies that might have compromised his judgment or effectiveness. The political implications of inner strength extend far beyond personal protection to encompass the fundamental dynamics of power in any social system. Traditional power structures often depend on maintaining others in states of dependency and weakness, creating hierarchies based on control rather than competence. The individual who achieves genuine strength disrupts these dynamics by removing themselves from traditional power games while demonstrating alternative models of effectiveness and leadership. The strong individual operates from abundance rather than scarcity, fundamentally altering their approach to negotiations, relationships, and conflicts. When you do not need what others offer, you can evaluate opportunities and relationships based on their intrinsic merit rather than desperation or dependency. This abundance mindset often leads to better outcomes in all forms of interaction, as others recognize they are dealing with someone who cannot be easily pressured or manipulated into unfavorable agreements. The transformation from weakness to strength often involves a complete restructuring of one's relationship with failure and rejection. Weak individuals fear these outcomes because they threaten their dependencies and sources of validation. Strong individuals, by contrast, view failure as information and rejection as filtering, neither of which threatens their fundamental well-being or capabilities. This shift in perspective enables more aggressive pursuit of opportunities and more principled stands on important issues. The concept of strategic patience becomes available to those who have eliminated their fundamental weaknesses. When you are not desperate for immediate results or external approval, you can take longer-term approaches to problems and opportunities. You can wait for favorable circumstances rather than accepting poor terms out of urgency. You can invest time in developing superior solutions rather than rushing to implement inferior ones. This patience often proves decisive in competitive situations where others' desperation leads to poor decision-making. The strong individual develops what might be called outcome independence, the ability to pursue goals without attachment to specific results. This paradoxical approach often leads to better outcomes because it eliminates the desperation and neediness that others find unattractive or exploitable. In negotiations, relationships, and competitive situations, the person who genuinely does not need to win often finds that others are more willing to deal fairly with them. The identification and development of core strengths represents a crucial element in achieving invincibility. These strengths must be substantial enough to provide genuine value in multiple contexts and relationships. They cannot be easily duplicated or controlled by others, and they must be continuously developing to prevent obsolescence. Examples might include advanced problem-solving skills, exceptional creativity, rare technical expertise, or unusual combinations of capabilities that create unique value. The cultivation of multiple options and alternatives eliminates the vulnerability created by dependence on single sources of opportunity, support, or validation. The professional with multiple career paths, the entrepreneur with several business ventures, the individual with diverse social networks and interests has created resilience that single-focus approaches cannot match. This diversification must be genuine rather than superficial, involving real capability and value creation across multiple domains. The development of what military strategists call asymmetric capabilities provides particular advantages for strong individuals competing against larger or more traditionally powerful opponents. These capabilities involve finding ways to compete where size and resources matter less than intelligence, creativity, or specialized knowledge. The consultant who develops unique expertise in emerging technologies, the artist who pioneers new forms of expression, or the leader who masters innovative organizational approaches exemplifies this strategy. The practice of systematic risk management becomes both easier and more important for strong individuals. Their independence provides flexibility to pursue opportunities that might be too risky for dependent people, but their strength also makes them valuable targets for those seeking to exploit or undermine capable individuals. This requires developing sophisticated understanding of threats, building appropriate defenses, and maintaining awareness of changing circumstances that might affect their position. The strong individual learns to operate effectively across multiple levels of human interaction, from intimate personal relationships to large-scale organizational and social dynamics. This multi-level competence prevents others from isolating them or limiting their influence to single domains. The person who can build genuine friendships, lead effective teams, and navigate complex political environments possesses tools for creating change and maintaining position regardless of circumstances. The relationship between strength and service represents one of the most profound aspects of Machiavelli's insight. Truly strong individuals often become more effective servants of causes and communities because they serve from choice rather than obligation or dependency. Their strength enables them to take risks and make sacrifices for important principles without fear of destroying themselves. This paradox, that strength enables service, creates powerful leverage for positive change in any environment. The development of teaching and mentoring capabilities marks the final stage of personal strength development. The individual who can effectively develop others' capabilities multiplies their influence while creating networks of genuinely capable allies. Unlike the fake allies who seek to maintain others in states of dependency, strong individuals enhance their own position by elevating others, creating expanding circles of capability and mutual support. The economic implications of personal strength extend beyond individual financial success to encompass the creation of value for others and the development of sustainable competitive advantages. Strong individuals often become entrepreneurs and innovators because they possess the independence necessary to pursue difficult opportunities and the resilience required to persist through inevitable setbacks. Their success creates opportunities for others while demonstrating alternative models of achievement. The cultural impact of strong individuals cannot be underestimated, as they serve as examples of what is possible through systematic self-development and the elimination of weakness. In societies dominated by dependency and manipulation, the presence of genuinely strong individuals provides inspiration and practical guidance for others seeking similar transformation. Their existence challenges prevailing assumptions about the necessity of weakness and dependency. The technological age has created new opportunities for individual strength while also generating new forms of vulnerability. Digital platforms enable individuals to build global audiences and create value without traditional institutional support. However, these same platforms can be used for surveillance, manipulation, and attack by those seeking to undermine strong individuals. The modern practitioner of Machiavellian principles must develop cybersecurity awareness and digital independence alongside traditional forms of strength. The ultimate test of strength comes through sustained performance under pressure over extended periods. Anyone can appear strong during favorable circumstances, but genuine strength reveals itself during prolonged adversity, systematic attack, or complex challenges that test multiple capabilities simultaneously. The individual who maintains effectiveness, principles, and growth trajectory through such trials has achieved the invincibility that Machiavelli recognized as the ultimate protection against human destructiveness. The legacy of strength extends beyond the individual to influence families, organizations, and communities for generations. Strong individuals create strong children by modeling independence and capability rather than dependency and manipulation. They build strong organizations by establishing cultures of competence and mutual respect rather than hierarchy and control. They contribute to strong societies by demonstrating that individuals can take responsibility for their own development and success rather than remaining dependent on external systems and authorities. The final insight embedded in Machiavelli's warning concerns the self-reinforcing nature of strength and weakness. Weak individuals tend to create more weakness in themselves and others through their choices and relationships. Strong individuals tend to create more strength through their example and influence. This dynamic means that the choice to pursue strength over comfort and independence over security has implications far beyond personal benefit. It represents a contribution to human potential and social development that ripples outward in ways that may never be fully visible or measurable. The man who destroys his weak self can never be destroyed by others because he has eliminated the very mechanisms through which destruction typically operates. He cannot be manipulated because he needs nothing that others control. He cannot be intimidated because he has faced and overcome his deepest fears. He cannot be corrupted because his values derive from internal rather than external sources. He cannot be defeated because he has learned to find strength in adversity and opportunity in challenge. This transformation from weakness to strength represents perhaps the most profound victory available to human beings, not victory over others, but victory over the limitations and vulnerabilities that prevent us from realizing our full potential. It is a victory that cannot be taken away because it resides in capabilities and character rather than circumstances and relationships. It is a victory that enhances rather than diminishes others because strength shared becomes strength multiplied. In our contemporary world of increasing complexity and uncertainty, Machiavelli's insights prove more relevant than ever. The ability to detect false allies and develop genuine strength provides essential tools for navigating personal relationships, professional challenges, and social dynamics. Those who master these capabilities find themselves equipped not merely to survive in competitive environments, but to thrive and contribute to the development of others. The journey from weakness to strength requires courage, patience, and systematic effort, but it offers rewards that extend far beyond protection from betrayal and manipulation. It opens possibilities for authentic relationships, meaningful achievement, and lasting contribution that remain unavailable to those who choose the apparent safety of dependency and weakness. In choosing strength, we choose not only our own freedom but the freedom of all those whose lives we touch through our example and influence. The art of detecting fake allies and the discipline of destroying weakness thus represent complementary aspects of a comprehensive approach to human development and social interaction. Together, they provide both defensive and offensive capabilities that enable individuals to protect themselves while building the kind of relationships and achievements that create lasting value for themselves and others. In mastering these arts, we honor not only Machiavelli's insight but the full potential of human character and capability.